Hey everyone, this is David. Welcome back behind the velvet rope. Let's just get right into it today because we are joined by the one, the only psychic Raquel.
Hi, David. How you doing today? And hi, everyone out there. How's
W-
everyone doing today?
welcome, welcome. This is your first time behind the velvet rope.
So much fun. So looking forward to this. I'm so honored. This
Me
is
too. I'm excited you're
so
here.
fun.
You
Yeah.
are from the Psychic Source, and everyone needs to go and download the Psychic Source app. You can get a reading for $20 for 35 minutes with code VELVET. It does not have to be one reading. I tell people if you are 2 to 3 minutes in and you don't think that you're a good fit with the psychic, you have 32 minutes left. If you're 3 minutes in, it's 35 banked and it's code VELVET and it's $20. And that is and for everyone who got a reading, there is a code for a second reading now. You can get 50% off. If you put in $50, you get 25 free. And if you put in 30, you get 15 free. So we're just giving out all sorts of promos and codes over here, Raquel.
That is fantastic. That's a really, really fantastic deal. So I'm
I think
excited to
so.
meet anybody or re-talk to people. Love it. So exciting.
So how, because this is your first time here, like we've had Psychic Pandora and Psychic Leota and Psychic Robbins. Like, what is your process? Because everyone's process is different, and that's what I love.
So I'm an empathic medium, which basically means that I feel people's energy and I also get a lot of messages translated through emotion. So there's a lot of different areas when we're looking at the umbrella of psychic of where I look. Like I don't do astrology, not that I don't believe it or trust it. It's just not my forte. I try to like stay in my lane because as an empathic medium, which basically means I talk and communicate with people who've passed over. And basically your people talk to my people and then I talk to you. And that's how I get a lot of information. So that's usually my process. I do use tarot on occasion when it's prompted by my guides, but I try to use everything at my disposal to give someone the best possible reading. So when they're like, well, what do you use? I'm like, I use everything that, I'm equipped with.
And
So
so for all these people that are still alive, like is that tarot or that's still like everything? You use every possible
I
when it
use
comes to you.
everything possible because I mean, talking to spirit guides, are spirit guides alive? I feel like they're very present, but they're not tangible. You know what I mean? So being able to really communicate empathically with what your people are trying to tell you or what it is that you're being guided to, and trying to direction out, like send a direction to that person. That's how I work because I like to be able to really make sure that we're covering all the different territories. And also if we're talking about another person, I talk to their people. You know what I mean? Who talk to my people. So and then also being an empath, I can tap into them directly without so if you don't want me talking to dead people, I mean, you might not want to talk to a medium, but I can definitely directly connect with a person just through their vibration. A lot of people need names and birthdays. I just kind of like you tell me like I'm having a problem with so and so, and I'm like, boom, let's get into this person. So that's how I work.
That's good because we're going to get into some. We have a new thing we started with audience actual. So I have actual questions later from actual audience members.
Ooh.
Before we get to some Bravo stuff, I just have so like when someone comes to you and they do want to hear from someone from the other side, how often do other people come through? Like if someone comes to you and they're like hoping, like, hey, like, look, my mother passed. I really want to hear from my mother. And instead they hear from, their next door neighbor's best friend.
That happens quite frequently, believe it or not, because once we open up that doorway, if anyone's ever seen the movie Ghost and like Whoopi Goldberg is staying behind and there's like 1,000 people just kind of banging on the door, it's kind of like that, but I try to just focus on who are coming in for this specific person. And I always tell everyone who comes in for mediumship reading, it's easier to talk to me than it is to talk to them exactly who you want to speak with. But I do my best to go through and like navigate and be like, this is who they really want to speak with. Let's get them behind the velvet rope, and say, this is our exclusive. But half the time, if there's a louder spirit in the room, they'll be very disruptive and very interruptive, which is actually kind of funny because half the time that's how they were or 100% of the time that's how they were in life. So then the person I'm reading for is like, oh, that's my aunt. She never shuts up. And I'm like, fantastic, because they were not being quiet. So we're going to let her talk. And then we're going to get back to the person you want to speak to who's actually relatively quiet in the room to see what they would like to say. So really, they just kind of pop up like daisies. You really never know who you're going to speak with, but that happens, I would say, probably about 99% of the time. So never be surprised if the next door's neighbor's dog who died last Tuesday. It kind of sits in the corner of the room, and I'll be like, who's this dog? Is this your dog? No, but my neighbor's. Well, can you let them know that their dog's cool? And then we move on. Like, I don't sit with the person they don't want to talk to. I just
Right.
let them know, hey, this person is here. They say hi, and then we move on to the more important, pressing person.
And then just so, because look, everyone wants to hear from their loved ones, right? Like that's why well, I mean, a lot of people go to readings for different things. They want career advice, but like, how many times does someone come and just the person just doesn't come through? Like they want their mother to come through, and just the mother just, just doesn't come through.
It's a very rare thing that that happens, but it is going to happen, or they're just not ready to speak. If you're calling me because a person died yesterday, you know, it's going to be harder for them to really kind of communicate because even though there's no time on the other side, at least in our philosophy of it, they're still trying to cope with the fact that they just lost their life. They're also mourning, they're also adjusting. So there's an adjustment period. So normally I'll talk to somebody that guided that person over. So if your mother died and their grandmother was there, I'll talk to the grandmother and say, this is what she's passing on the message because she's not ready to speak yet. So that does happen, or they're just not in the ether. And I've also had readings where the person was there, but they would not talk at all. And I'm like, they're sitting here. This is who they are. Like came in put their hat down, very social, but not talkative. And then finally the spirit says, can I go now? And I start cracking up and I tell the person, I'm like, I'm sorry, but your dad was just like, can I go now? And they're like, that's my dad. He would never talk. And so, but I was so frustrated because I couldn't get anything from this person until they were finally like, can I go? I'm like, I guess, so that does happen where they just will not speak. And we have to kind of respect it. I can't force them to perform. This isn't, you know what I mean? It's our show. We love performing, but not everybody is as talkative as we are.
Not
So,
everyone is that strong. Well, now, okay, before we get into Robin, now I have a question. This could be helpful for
yes.
our audience. I mean, are our loved ones like, say someone lost, like their mother and their father or whoever, two
Mhm.
brothers, like, are our loved ones together like, after they pass? Like, does the family, like, is a family together? Or, like, if say you lost your mother and father, are your mother and father together?
They actually are. I did lose both my parents and I lost a sister. So I can actually, I'm well versed in this. In my office, I actually have their urns, but it really depends on the relationship that they were in. If they despised each other, I'll have them on opposite ends of my office. Well, not my parents, but like just in general. I've had that happen where I'm like, okay, one of you talks at a time, and they'll still be bickering. Like it's hilarious. So yeah, I feel like they do come together, and I am a big believer in reincarnation. I don't know, I'm not pushing any, doctrines on anybody. But sometimes people do come back and we have their essence, but we don't have their spirit because they're not necessarily there